Welcome, Pisces. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, getting ready to do a reading for you. This is general energy from Spirit, and I am really looking at the impact that the planets are having on your creative abilities, your romantic desire for connection, for creation, procreation, recreation, all the ways that you uh, enjoy the process of creativity with your peers. And that necessarily includes romantic or potentially romantic partners. So we've started with the energy archaeology oracle, and I pulled for you the card flexibility. That seems like a good thing in terms of creative energy for you. I'm reading from the guidebook, and this talks about the cervical spine, an inherently sensitive channel that aligns and relies on individual energies that come together. And this is indeed about your ability to converge the energies within it and without you. So the location of emerging energies comes through the entire energetic bone body. Everything from the arms and the legs flows up to the spine and up, and everything in the head flows through the skull and down. And where the energies meet at your neck is the point of ultimate flexibility. Flexibility is an indicator of your ability to moderate and modulate confluences of energy while not compromising what you align with. The boldness to speak truth to what's not aligned, and the vulnerability that requires you to do so. The ferocity to uphold boundaries that keep you present and open, and the softness of self to adjust them when your capacity shifts. There's always plenty of time and energy to feel what is coming up to be felt, to speak to what is asking for your truth, and to consciously be present. This is clarified or not clarified. This is in some ways challenged by the High Priestess. It's interesting because the High Priestess is coming forward as wisdom that you have accumulated through self-study. And that self-study looks like reflection, thought on your past, what has gotten you to your present energy. And the past really exceeds your current lifetime. This is past strengths, energies, intelligences, power, authority that you've accumulated over lifetimes. They need not be your own lifetimes if that's something you don't believe in. You can also think of this as the energy that you accumulate through your ancestry, your cultural heritage, your historic alignments, those historical figures or cultural figures you identify with. There's a reason you identify with them. And for those of you that have a broader view of your own life's cycles, this is putting you in touch with an authoritative place that you've held in the past. So the flexibility you're now experiencing, the way in which you are picking and choosing those tasks and responsibilities that you feel inclined to respond to in the most authentic way, is the highlight of your energies at this moment, and the way in which you are activating your most creative impulses in your goals. The Ace of Cups. This is about new love. This is about the way that you perhaps are selecting or identifying good friends, colleagues, peers, romantic partners, those deeply connected friendships from a place of giving, from a place of receiving attention and care, being valued. It seems as though there's a new way that you are assessing or evaluating the way that you want to feel in partnerships. And this can very much be sourced, and most likely is being sourced for many of you from within your own relationship to yourself, so that you are recognizing these qualities as ones that you source within yourself, and that those things then are reflected into your relationships and your world. So as you give yourself the attention, the care that is required, that you want to feel, the way that you imagine your efforts are producing the kinds of feelings of support, value, care, uh, and deeper connection. This is what you are basically projecting out into the world, into your relationships at this time. You want relationships that reflect on your notion of love. And when I say love, it is not confined to your personal relationships. This is the way you give service, the way you interact with colleagues, the way you create plans and project those plans out into the world as vehicles of service. In your foundation, the Knight of Wands, you are full of energy. You are all about growing and exploring. And this is beautiful for the building and the inspiration of something you're creating or building, because you feel inspired. You are aligning with your spiritual values, and those are what is motivating you to move forward. There's a lot of energetic freedom in your exploration. The world feels wide open to you based on, again, this wisdom that you have gained from self-study. In the past, the Wheel of Fortune indicates that you are ready to turn over a significant aspect of change in your life and your environment. This is something you have been, it feels like something you've been working at for your entire life, that you understand that you came into this life to change something fundamentally, that you are experiencing that through your own life cycles, so that you may have begun in one kind of environment. As an example, you may have started out in a kind of family, particularly that was alternative, outside of the traditional norms, perhaps, of your immediate environment. And that's something you are in part bringing to the world, this awareness, this experience of doing things differently in some fundamental way. That difference you've experienced is what has propelled you towards what appears to be a change in lifestyle, an activation. It on one hand is towards something that has not been immediately experienced in this life, but it really comes from ancient power and wisdom and knowledge. In other words, what we are finding value in, the ideas that we're finding that are giving value and meaning to our current environments, can often be ancient ideas, things that ancient societies moved towards. So there's a lot here about simplifying your life in broad terms, reducing the effort to something that is simpler and therefore lighter, freer, greater responsibility and awareness of the power that you have. In the immediate future, the Nine of Pentacles, one of my favorite cards, this is about standing up for yourself, standing on your own 2 feet, knowing what you have, what your skills and investments have produced for you, the ability to invest in yourself repeatedly and in those things that are aligned with you. So this card often speaks about cultivating your own garden. And I really love in this card how something like the Eye of Horus, the all-knowing, the God self, is reflecting on the serpent, right? The serpent who invites us to the tree of knowledge, the tree of good, the knowledge of good and evil. And this is an invitation to explore the world, an invitation that spirit does not suppress our desire to grow and expand. It invites it. And this is where you are freely able to reach into your past experiences and pull out from that ancient systems, tools, resources that are guiding us towards a clear simplification and responsibility that we can be deeply aligned to, that prompts us to speak back to power, that prompts us to be present here, knowing that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. In your strengths and weaknesses, the King of Chalices. Well, the strength is phenomenal compassion. This is one of your cards. So the King of Cups is all about accepting the vulnerability that comes with choosing love, the uncontrollable willingness to take risks that can feel or even seem foolish, but ultimately verify your exercise of love in all forms. And that love can be the risk taking, because the gamble, it's unknown. One never knows. Love requires other people to participate in it. But this is really understanding that you, despite the betrayals, the harm, the sadness, the pain you may have experienced through rejection or betrayal, or a mismatch of energy, or being taken advantage of, you know that you cannot control the impulse to do it over and over again, because you ultimately understand the power of that gift of love, that love at every level of personal creativity, romantic love, companionship, deep connection, and ultimately of service. And in your environment, the Four of Cups here, I'm loving the cups. I'm really loving the cups. The Four of Cups is about the practice you have established for yourself, the emotional, even the cultural foundation that has anchored you in your creative inquiry. And creative inquiry attaches itself to any effort we make, anything we desire to build. This is all a creative process. And so you are reevaluating things that you once accepted as being a match for you. And you're now understanding that you've really grown and expanded substantially from the time that you wished for something that would not necessarily solve all your problems, but it was a deeply desired wish, the fulfillment of which you believed would completely change your life. And that opportunity now is something you can manifest at will. It's not something that appears to drop out of the sky, but it's something you're drawing towards you. And even as you do that, you recognize that you don't have to accept it, that you can consider it carefully. You can evaluate whether it matches your alignment, your values, your standards, whether it is worthy of your efforts, your exchanges. So this indicates really a powerful way that your creativity, your creative process is being honed in a way that will ultimately manifest a more stable and more impactful cultural impact or social impact. and your hopes and wishes. The Five of Wands is you hope to generate dialogue, discussion, opportunities for collaborators and co-creators to learn together. This is all about problem solving. This is how you understand your gifts and talents are being focused and channeled into solving problems, of which we have many in the world. You're taking this on. You're understanding that actually you have a lot of experience with problem solving from many lifetimes in the past. And that can even be within one life, within your present life. This can be seen as a series of lifetimes, certainly in our current contemporary age, where our foreparents once had a social role. We now have the opportunity to have many. And so the necessity to solve problems, to see that in a positive light, is not something that is a crisis, but rather an opportunity for people to come together and learn things and create problems that relate and solve for many as part of negotiation and compromise, and with a fair dash of creativity. Of course, the fear of this hopeful aspect of your energy is the fear of conflict, the fear of debate, the fear of disagreement. So this can sometimes be or tap into a formative fear of disagreement, of fighting, of crises, of problems that are disabling, where people can't agree on a way to move forward or to solve a problem that is perceived differently by everyone, perceived to be someone else's problem, rather than collectively owning that problem and working productively to solve it. In the outcome, you have the King of Wands. So I'm putting these two kings together with this Knight of Wands as I am looking at your energy. And the King of Cups is about that ability to take a risk, I believe. And from those experiences of taking risk, of being vulnerable, of exposing oneself, the knowledge and the certainty that you will always risk truth for what you love, what you value, to help others, to be of service, to give from your heart space, to be authentic. With the Knight of King of Wands here, your enthusiastic energy that is moving you forward rapidly, it feels like you have developed a sense of absolute supreme confidence in what you're doing. You feel inspired, you inspire others. You feel motivated towards greater alignment with your spiritual values. Others recognize that and identify you as a leader. So I'm going to clarify the King of Wands here with 3 cards. And if this reading is resonating for you, please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, Pacific Tarot. And I value your comments and gratitude. So thank you for those. The 3 of Swords, the Hierophant, and the Knight of Pentacles. You're absolutely a teacher. You're absolutely even a gatekeeper. You hold the keys. You can identify the problem that you are hoping others will team up with you to solve. You understand the devastating impact of the effect of powerlessness, the effect that one blames others, one does not take responsibility for the events, the failures or disappointments one experiences, and you understand the key to that. The key being the development of consciousness, the ability to learn, to grow, that is not hindered by pain, by suffering. In fact, it decreases the pain. This alleviates the suffering when one realizes that one is powerful. And out of that sense of powerfulness comes a plan, comes an effort to take the next step towards building something substantial. This is the blueprint that only looks at the next step. And I think that's so important for us. We don't need to envision the building of the castle or the alternative community or the machine that's going to save our ecosystem. We simply need to understand what we're going to do next. If it's develop a plan, if it's gathering the resources and those who are like-minded, whatever it is, your understanding of the power of learning, of growth, of expansion is what gives you the understanding that something concrete and practical is the next step. I'm going to finish this reading, Pisces, with a crystal oracle, and I pulled serpentine, and the key word is transformation. My life is transforming at the perfect time in the most powerful way. And I think this is important because I feel that you are channeling what you're learning, how you're changing into the way that you work with the resources you have and those that are co-creating with you. You're building something magnificent, something beautiful, something of service. And you're showing others how to do that. So this is your leadership, is helping to groom a co-creative process by providing tools in a way in which all members are in equitable participation, so that there are no bosses. Even as leader, you understand that you are about investing in the buy-in of those that you're working with. They need to understand your process and what the goal is. I really hope this has been helpful to you, Pisces. Until next time, namaste.